classroom?
Look, I've seen all those headlines too, and here's the reality. Look, President Trump should have won the 2020 election. You look at things like the ballot dumps, you look at the mail-in ballots, you look at the voter fraud, you look at the manipulation by the media in foreign countries, and look, what we've got in the standards are facts. We want critical thinking students, we want critical thinking Americans. We want them to look at the data, look at the statistics, and come to their own conclusion. We're not going to allow the left to force a narrative onto our kids, and so that's what
this isn't a narrative from the left, Mr. Walters. These are claims that failed time and time again in courts of law. People who I'm sure you know had the opportunity to bring quality evidence in front of judges, and they failed. So why would you want students to spend time on that?
Well, look, your own station reported some of the fraud. Your own station reported the batch dumps late at night. Look, it's about the facts, and they can come to their own conclusion. The students can look at these facts and say what happened in the election of 2020, but what we're not going to do is allow left-wing activists and the teachers' unions to come in and drive a narrative. Kids need to look at the facts. And listen, if I was the head of the most left-wing radical organization in the country, the teachers' union, I'd hate these standards too. But the reality is we're going to teach Americanism, facts, and we're going to let kids come to their own conclusion on the election of 2020.
This doesn't really have a whole lot to do with teachers' unions. They're not even a party to this lawsuit. There are educators and families who are a party to this lawsuit against these new academic standards. You're being sued, by the way, by a lawyer who is a former attorney general, a Republican. And they're alleging basically that you tried to pull the wool over the eyes of fellow education leaders. I want to read this to make sure I get it right. Half of the Oklahoma State Board of Education claimed they were unaware they approved the standards in February, that when they approved those standards, that the final version had significant differences from the version they had seen from your office in December. Were you trying to mislead them about what was in these standards?
Absolutely not. I mean, listen, some Republicans have been bought off with 30 pieces of silver from the teachers' union. That's happening. But what we're going to
continue... Again, the teachers' union isn't involved in this lawsuit, so it has to be someone else.
Come on now. The teachers' union, the ACLU, they've been behind all these lawsuits against us. But listen, we stand by the facts. We're going to put facts forward and let kids decide. Listen, I know the left-wing media often spins a narrative and just forces it on folks, and facts bother them. Facts bother teachers' unions. But what we're saying is, listen, kids, study this. Look at this. We want you to understand the elections. We want you to understand American history. And yes, the left is fighting mad because they've controlled our classrooms. The only reason we're sitting here talking about this today is because we're taking education back from the radical left. They're fighting mad about it. But we're going to get education back to an understanding of facts and history and let kids critically think. I think we should all be able to say we want critical thinkers. We want to be about facts, data, graphs, and charts. That's how we're going to study the election. That's how everyone across the country should be studying this election.
It's interesting that you keep bringing up the left. You talk a lot about woke teachers and indoctrination, but you quite literally tweeted this on X, or X this on X, on April 29th, calling these standards the most unapologetically conservative pro-America social studies standards in the nation. Is that not you kind of giving the game away there? Saying that instead of the left-wing indoctrination, I'm trying to indoctrinate kids into my conservative worldview.
No, look, conservatives want to teach history. They want our kids to understand America. They want kids to love the Constitution, understand the Constitution. That's what we put together. Again, we're unapologetic. Look, I want patriotic students. I want kids who love this country and understand it.
What does that have to do with you specifically said conservative. Why are you even mentioning a political tilt or ideology when you are in charge of public school instruction?
Because conservatives love their country. They love our history. They love the Constitution. We put more primary sources in this document so kids can understand the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, understand American exceptionalism. And again, I'm sorry, it's a conservative principle. We're unapologetic about that. We want kids to love our country. We want kids to understand the rights that have been protected over time that come from God and the Declaration of Independence. So yeah, look, our standards are unapologetically pro-American. They unapologetically cover the 2020 election with facts, and we're incredibly proud of it. They're the best in the country. Every state should have history standards the way that ours look.
Oklahoma has faced a teacher shortage like much of the United States. After COVID, Oklahoma students are in many cases struggling with reading and math, the fundamentals. Why, again, would you want them to focus on debunked conspiracy theories around an election? How is that worth your teachers, your educators, your family's time?
Oh my goodness, because it's important. We've launched the largest literacy campaign in state history, the largest tutoring campaign. We pay teachers based on merit here in Oklahoma. So we have teachers making over $100,000 a year. We pay teachers $50,000 to move into the state. We have turned around the teacher shortage here in Oklahoma.
No, you
turning around
haven't.
test scores. And yes, I'm sorry, a very important part of our education system is teaching students to understand their country, their government, how government works, because we want America to continue to be the greatest country in the history of the world. And parents are very concerned that the education their kids are getting is not getting them to be informed citizens to make decisions at the ballot box, make decisions on the future of the country. So I believe as a former history teacher and a parent, look, we've got to teach our kids about American exceptionalism, about their rights, about campaigns, about elections. It's crucial for the future of this country.
Well, I've spent a lot of time in Oklahoma lately, and I know the teachers, I know the challenges that they're dealing with there. They tell me they don't see left-wing indoctrination. They really are craving the opportunity to spend time on the basics with their students and not be involved in the partisan stuff right now. But thank you so much, Superintendent Walters. We appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you for having me on.
Up next, backlash